Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. When you hear the word Maya, what comes to mind? Towering pyramids peeking through a dense jungle canopy. An incredibly complex calendar that predicted the end of the world. Or maybe the haunting mystery of a great civilization that just vanished. Well, the truth is far more complex and fascinating than any of those cliches. Today, we're going to journey back in time and unravel the entire incredible story of the Maya civilization. Let's start at the very beginning, in what archaeologists call the pre-classic period, kicking off around 2000 BCE. This wasn't the era of giant stone cities just yet. Think small, agricultural villages, popping up across what is now southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. These early Maya were pioneers, learning to cultivate maize, beans, and squash the three sisters that would become the foundation of their diet and society. They were mastering pottery and beginning to trade with their neighbors, like the influential Olmec culture to the west. It was from the Olmec that the Maya likely drew inspiration for their early writing systems and their reverence for the sacred ballgame. By around 1000 BCE, things started to get bigger. We see the first large ceremonial centers emerge. Places like Nacbe in Guatemala, which featured monumental architecture and stone causeways, known as Sacbib. This wasn't just a collection of villages anymore. A complex society was taking shape, with an elite class of rulers and priests who were beginning to wield significant power. They were tracking the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, laying the groundwork for the famous Maya calendar. This pre-classic period was the crucial foundation upon which everything that followed was built. Now, let's enter the Golden Age. The Classic period, from roughly 250 to 900 CE. This is when the Maya civilization truly exploded into the form we recognize today. The landscape became dotted with dozens of powerful city-states, each with its own king or a jah. Think of places like Tikal, with its soaring temple of the Great Jaguar, or the sophisticated city of Palenque, ruled by the legendary Pakal the Great. These weren't just cities, they were sprawling urban centers, with palaces, observatories, ball courts, and thousands of inhabitants. These city-states were rivals. They were constantly vying for dominance through trade, political alliances, and, yes, warfare. But this rivalry also fueled incredible innovation. Maya astronomers, using just their naked eyes, developed a calendar more accurate than any used in Europe at the time. They created the most advanced writing system in the ancient Americas, a complex hieroglyphic script that recorded their history, mythology, and royal lineages on stone monuments or stelae. Their mathematicians independently developed the concept of zero, a revolutionary idea, and their art, from intricate jade carvings to vibrant murals, was simply breathtaking. Life in these cities was a whirlwind of religious ceremony, political intrigue, and intellectual brilliance. But what goes up must calm it down. Starting around 800 CE, something began to go wrong in the southern Maya lowlands, the heartland of the classic civilization. This is the famous Maya collapse, but it wasn't a sudden event, and the Maya people didn't disappear. It was a gradual decline over a century or more. The great cities of the south, like Tikal and Calakmul, saw their populations plummet. Construction of grand monuments and temples ground to a halt. Kings lost their authority, and people began abandoning the urban centers, melting back into the jungle. So what caused it? There's no single answer, but historians point to a perfect storm of factors. Decades of intense warfare between the city-states weakened them politically and economically. This constant conflict was happening at the same time as a series of prolonged, severe droughts, likely exacerbated by deforestation from centuries of farming and city building. With failing crops and a loss of faith in rulers who could no longer promise rain and prosperity, the social fabric unraveled. The system that had supported these massive cities for centuries simply broke. It wasn't an apocalypse. It was a complex political and environmental crisis. But this is the key. The collapse was not the end of the Maya. It was a shift. While the southern cities declined, Maya civilization was flourishing in the north, in the Yucatan Peninsula. Cities like Chichen Itza and Uxmal rose to prominence during what is called the Terminal Classic and Post-Classic periods, From about 900 to 1500 CE, these northern cities had different architectural styles and a greater influence from central Mexico. Chichen Itza, for example, with its iconic El Castillo pyramid, became a massive, cosmopolitan hub, dominating the region for centuries. Later, the city of Meopan would become the next great Maya capital, ruling over a league of nearby provinces. Life continued. Trade networks shifted but remained vibrant, connecting the Yucatan with the Caribbean coast and Central America. The Maya continued to practice their religion, study the stars, and record their knowledge in screenfold books called codices. Though sadly, only a handful of these survived the later Spanish conquest. The Maya world was different, more decentralized, but it was still very much alive and evolving. Then, in the early 16th century, a new and powerful force arrived from across the ocean. The Spanish conquistadors. The arrival of the Spanish marked the beginning of a brutal and tragic new chapter. The Maya, divided into numerous competing kingdoms, resisted fiercely. This wasn't a quick conquest like that of the Aztecs. The fight for the Yucatan was a long, drawn-out struggle that lasted for nearly 170 years. The last independent Maya kingdom, Nachpitan, located on an island in Lake Chichen Itza, didn't fall until 1697. The conquest was devastating. New diseases brought by the Europeans, to which the Maya had no immunity, wiped out a huge portion of the population. The Spanish systematically tried to eradicate Maya culture, burning their sacred books and forcing them to convert, but they failed. The Maya spirit proved unbreakable. They adapted, blending their ancient beliefs with the new religion, and preserving their languages, traditions, and identity in the face of incredible pressure. Which brings us to today, and this is the most important part of the story to remember. The Maya are still here. Over 7 million Maya people live today in their ancestral homelands in Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and beyond. They speak dozens of distinct Mayan languages and continue to practice traditions that have been passed down for thousands of years. From ancient farming techniques to vibrant weaving and religious ceremonies, they are doctors, teachers, activists, and farmers, fighting to preserve their rich cultural heritage and protect their lands. The story of the Maya is not one of a lost civilization. It's a story of resilience, adaptation, and survival against all odds. From the first farming villages to the magnificent classical cities, through collapse, conquest, and colonization, the Maya people have endured. Their history is not just locked away in ancient ruins. It's a living, breathing story that continues to unfold every single day. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Maya history. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories of our world. Let me know in the comments what part of Maya culture you find most interesting. Until next time, stay curious.